It's times like these when I question if I am a fake weeb. I mean that because I just discovered the Code Geass movie that came out 2 years ago. Yeah, 2019. And I just saw it like a month ago. Welcome to the Galactic Gumdrop channel, or welcome back. My name is Lizzie, and today I am reviewing the Code Geass movie that I just saw like a month ago. I've been trying to get this video out, but I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. I've been having difficulties with the copyright. So yeah, this movie has been copyrighted the shit, all the visual stuff. So there's gonna be a little less clips of the actual movie than normal, but I'll still try to sneak some in there for you. So I'm talking about the Code Geass movie, Lelouch of the Resurrection. Yes, they have it with some semicolon resurrection in there. So again, it was released in 2019, and that is over a decade after season 2 ended. Season 2 ended in 2008. So in my defense for not watching this movie till now, it really wasn't super on my radar, having been such a long time since I've seen the actual anime. And you know, I guess I remember hearing about it coming back. I feel like you hear rumors about anime coming back all the time. They're like, oh my god, we're gonna make another movie. Oh my god, we're gonna make that Yuri on Ice movie. No, like, they never happened. But they did. They made a Code Geass movie, and it just kind of didn't hit my radar until recently. So shout out to my brother. Thanks for letting me know that this movie exists now. So it's done by Studio Sunrise, which, if I'm not mistaken, they also animated the other seasons as well. And the movie brings back, of course, all your favorite characters. We got my waifu Callan in there, C2's there, Suzaku if he was your favorite, Nina's even makes an appearance, Nunnally, Cornelia's in there, Millie, even Shirley for a brief moment, and of course, Lelouch. So yeah, no surprise, Lelouch is back, and we know he's not dead. There's a little bit of a plot twist, though, to what had happened to him. I'll get to that in a moment. So this movie takes place 1 year after the events of season 2, so after season 2 ended. Which, honestly, because it's been so long since I've seen the actual anime and the anime aired, it feels like it should be like longer, like at least like 5 years have passed, but no, it's only been a year in their world that they've had to suffer without Code Geass, so okay. And the basic plot. So of course it's political related because it wouldn't be Code Geass without that. Right at the beginning of the movie, Nunnally and Zero, aka Suzaku, get kidnapped by a country. Well, they get kidnapped by somebody, and we shortly figure out after that it's people from this country called Zilkistan. And the reason why they kidnapped them was they really wanted Nunnally. Zilkistan has 2 rulers. They're siblings. The boy, his name is like Shiloh or something. Shiloh, I don't know. Well, however you say it. And then he's the king. And his sister, Shamina, she's like the leader of their religious group. And, you know, not really too much of a spoiler, but she has a Geass power. I think she would like to strengthen her Geass, if I'm not mistaken. And she needs to get to C2's universe to do that. So she's trying to use Nunnally because of her bloodline connection to Charles and Lelouch. She's like, yes, I can use her to get to C2's world somehow, I guess. So, so she kidnaps her, and there's no right-out proof like who did it right away. So they kind of were able to do it sneakily enough that the Republic of Nations, or whatever the fuck they're called, can't just blame them and go like attack, retaliate. They're like not totally sure, but Britannia is suspicious. They're like, okay, we think it's this country. They send some of the Black Knights in there to try to either get some proof or to find Nunnally and Suzaku. And so that's why they're in Zilkistan. So it's Callan, Lloyd, and Sayako that are the ones that are sent there initially to find Nunnally and Suzaku. Then your big question, at least my big question, I was like, what happened to Lelouch? You know, at the end of season 2, you're like, wow, is he dead? Is he not dead? Like, what's going on? So clearly he's not dead. And we find out that after the events transpiring at the end of season 2, Lelouch had planned to die, but C2 did not want him to. So she was able to keep his body alive. However, his mind is not there. So the body is, his body is still there and looks just like Lelouch, but it acts like a freaking like child who like basically can't take care of himself. So C2 is like literally taking care of him, and like she's like making him dinner, and he like pushes her, I don't know, like he like throws her into her food, the food that she made. Like, he's such a brat. I was like, what the fuck? I get it, he's supposed to be like very scared of just like anything. I don't know, he got scared of like a fucking dumpling. I was like, what the fuck is this? It was interesting what happened to him, and honestly all I could picture after this was just like, I was like, all right, C2's been like wiping his ass for a year now, clearly. But she doesn't plan to keep Lelouch this way. So she thinks, okay, if I can get him gated to my world, my universe, whatever it is. They call it the C2 universe, so I guess it's hers. I honestly have forgotten a lot of what's going on, but because it's been like over 10 years since I've seen this anime, but whatever. So she thinks, okay, if I take him into the gate, I think I can get his mind back, perhaps. And apparently the one place that she thinks there might be an active gate or something, because the other ones are no longer usable. She can't freely go in and out of her world anymore because I think of something that Lelouch did. Again, like I like totally am kind of forgetting how all the stuff transpires, but she can't go there anymore by herself. She has to find a gate. And she's like, I think and I believe that there is a gate in Zilkistan because they did have some kind of border towards the Giyas. So that's why her and Lelouch are in Zilkistan. And somehow by miraculous chance, the guards from Zilkistan encounter and attack the Black Knights in I guess a tourist location where C2 and Lelouch are at. So that is how they run into each other. And C2 helps them fight off the guard because he does have a Giyas power. And his power allows him to lets the enemy see their friend as their enemy and their enemy as their friend. So it's like kind of like an illusion power. Yeah. Then those characters, Lloyd, Sayako, and Callan, get a nice reunion with Lelouch. They get to see him in this really embarrassing state, which I was like, ah, if Lelouch were able to see this, he would be dying of embarrassment, literally. So that's kind of where our story starts to take place. Honestly, would recommend rewatching seasons 1 and 2 before you watch this movie if you don't want to end up like me. I mean, unless you've watched it recently, but because I mean, I remember, of course, like the main cast of characters, and I roughly remember what happened, but there's a lot that I think that they hint about that I've forgotten. I've forgotten like who half these characters are that they kind of like show splurts of in the background. I've forgotten like exactly the rules of C2's universe, of like the specifics of what happened to, like, as far as like the Giyas goes and stuff like that at the end, like, so much that I was like, oh, okay, wow, you really should rewatch the seasons before you watch this movie. It's not like I would say it's a great standalone movie if you don't know what Code Geass is. There are other anime movies I think that you could watch, still get a lot of enjoyment out of without having seen the actual anime that connects with it. This is not one of them. I don't think you're going to get much enjoyment out of this if you're just watching it as some normal person. So if you haven't seen Code Geass, definitely watch it before you watch this movie. And if you have, rewatch it before you watch the movie. That said, this movie did still really feel like Code Geass. I mean, you get the mech fighting back, you get the politics, you get the 3D chess match, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that happens between Lelouch and his group and this new enemy right now. So, you know, I mean, without spoiling too much, of course Lelouch ends up coming back. Really, that was really like refreshing. It was great to see that again, give you that feeling of like nostalgia if you watched Code Geass as long ago as I did. So that felt really nice. The actual like quality of the fighting and like the scheming behind everything wasn't like as cool as I remember it being, but again, I don't know if it's just because maybe Code Geass hasn't aged well. I haven't seen it in such a long time. I don't know. But I think it felt like Code Geass, so it felt great to see that again. And I think that they did do a good job of tying it into where the season 2 ended. So they answered a lot of your questions, and then they did set up for a season 3, which is predicted to air sometime end of 2020, maybe beginning of 2023. There's no exact time, and honestly, who knows at this point. I really hope that they do release it, and I really hope it doesn't fly over my head for 2 years before I get to see it. You know, I would really like to see it. I think probably what I'll end up doing is before season 3 airs, I'll rewatch seasons 1 and 2 and then rewatch the movie so that I can be prepped, ready, have all the characters remembered what the fuck's going on, and then watch the 3rd season. So, but I think it's pretty amazing. There's not a lot of anime out there that, you know, end and then 10 years later get a movie or another season. I think it happens sometimes, but you know, usually once it's been that long, a lot of times people give up. I think that just sets a testament to how good Code Geass was, especially for its time. You know, again, I don't know how well it's really aged, but at the time it was like one of the most popular anime. I know I loved it, and it's crazy. It's just a testament to, it's such an iconic anime. My personal opinion, I think if you really, you know, want to explore a lot of what anime has to offer, that at some point you should watch Code Geass. I just, you know, again, even if mech fighting's not your thing, it's not just mech fighting. They tie a lot of things into this genre, and I think it's just become an iconic. It's mostly iconic for the ending, but I think the show as a whole was still really, really entertaining and does introduce like an interesting premise and world, and I do like the Geass powers and things like that. I would certainly recommend watching the anime and then, yeah, following it up with this movie. Before I go into my final scoring, I am going to talk a little bit about some particular parts that may spoil things for people. So if you actually haven't seen the movie, I would recommend skipping to this timestamp here just to see my overall rating for the show and the ending. And then if you don't care about the spoils or have seen the movie, you know, a couple things I want to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about is, of course, the romance or like relationship factor with Lelouch, C2, and Callan, because there was kind of a love triangle in the original series, I felt like. If you remember at the end of season 2, Callan does kind of tell Lelouch how she feels. Basically, she kisses him. So, what more could you do to really tell someone how you feel? And I really felt super bad for her in this anime, because first she meets Lelouch and he's like still doesn't remember anything, scaredy pants child. So that does make her upset, because she's like, this is not Lelouch. She's pretty pissed at C2 for this, for being like, you saved him and this is what he is. And then he comes back and she's super happy to see him, but she's like, you've changed. Which I agree. Lelouch has actually done some character developing throughout this movie. I don't even know if it was really throughout this movie. It was when he came back. He wasn't exactly the same cocky asshole that he was before. He still is pretty cocky, and he still is intelligent and kind of a mastermind type character. But he seems a little bit more, I don't know, maybe rusty, but like he's a little less confident. Yeah, that's it. He's a little less confident than he was before, a little bit more willing to save human life, it seems like. Values the lives of his subjects more. Yeah, he's become a different character. And I think that's going to be interesting to see how that plays into the next season. As that goes, I feel like the ending of the movie where C2's about to go off on her own and Lelouch wants to follow her, and, you know, he says, I was thinking of changing my name to L2, really testifies that I think he truly cares about C2 and doesn't want her to be alone in this world like she has been for so long. So in a sense, I feel like Callan has lost the love battle here, which is sad for me because I'm a very big Callan stan. But at the same time, I see that C2 has, again, wiped his ass for a whole year. And even before that, she really helped him through a whole lot of what happened in season 1 and season 2. And even at the end of this movie, when Lelouch was like having a little bit of a breakdown because, again, he seems like he's a little rusty, and she had to give him a pep talk, you know, she helped him through that too. So I feel like she really does get love and affection back from this guy, like, and I feel like he really realizes how important that she is. So I can't be mad that they would be the ones to end up together. Of course, I still want Callan's happiness, and I think that in her saying that she's like, wow, you seem different, that maybe she does realize that he's not the same person anymore. I think Callan she does have kind of a weird obsession with Zeto, with who Zeto was, and now Zeto is Suzaku, but it's, you know, he's actually just a figure. But she's like, to me, he's not. Like, to me, to her, he's this person that was Lelouch and this. So she still, I think, is in love with the past, and I really do feel for her because I feel like I've definitely been in personally some situations like that, so I can understand how she feels. But of course, I don't think it's healthy, and I think that she should move on, and maybe they will expand on that in the 3rd season. I don't know. I really hope they don't leave her character, you know, as it is. I want her to develop more too. I really, really love her, and I want to see her continue to grow. The other thing I want to talk about is Suzaku, because I remember that I really did not like Suzaku's character through season 1 and 2. He was not one of my favorites. In fact, probably one of my least favorites characters. And I know he had a lot happen to him that can justify his actions to an extent, but I just kind of, at the time at least, I was like, F this guy. This movie actually changed my view of Suzaku. I feel pity towards him now. I feel bad for him. I think he's trapped in an identity that A, he didn't create, and B, I don't think he wants to be, at least not anymore. Maybe he did want to be him at a time, you know, be that hero, the knight in shining armor, the one that saves the day. But now I think he has realized what it entails to be Zeto. So basically in the movie, he keeps hinting at Lelouch like, hey, now that you're back, you can be Zeto again. Like, here, please take back your position as Zeto. You should be Zeto. And Lelouch keeps being like, no, you're Zeto now. Bye, bitch. I don't feel like he's just trying to give it back to him out of like respect or whatever that Lelouch was originally Zeto. I think he like genuinely is like, fuck, I do not want to do this anymore. Because if you think about it, you know, no one's supposed to know his identity, at least outside of like, I guess, the main group. So the public and to like other people, Suzaku will never get that recognition of accomplishing anything that Zero accomplishes. It will always be Zero that gets the credit, and who made up the character Zero but Lelouch. So it's still, to a sense, Lelouch still gets credit for everything that Suzaku does as Zero. And I think that would really bother me if I was putting in all this hard work and, you know, protecting my country, protecting the leader of my country, and somebody else was getting the credit for it, you know? It's just like if you were putting in all this work for a group project and then one person in the project is like, actually, I did like 85% of this, and like took all the credit, and you're like, no, what the fuck? Actually, more be like 100% of it, because nobody knows that Suzaku's doing this, outside of, again, the main group of the Black Knights and Nunnally and stuff like that. That would bother me, and I feel like he's just trapped in that. And, you know, he's like, God, I just wanted this to be done. So I'm kind of curious as well to see where they're going to take Suzaku's character, and I honestly hope that he gets some character development as well and is able to find peace, because I think he really hasn't. I also thought it was super hilarious though that he beat up Lelouch when he first saw him. I was like, honestly, yeah. After thinking about all this and realizing like what position Suzaku's in, I was like, you can beat him up a little bit. So yeah, so that's one of the main things I was curious about, to see what, you know, wanted to discuss. I also think it's interesting, I believe that Lelouch's Gias still affects everyone he has previously put under the Gias spell. So that would include, I think it's one of his half-siblings, the blonde guy, that includes Suzaku, and probably many others. So, you know, I was like wondering, I assume even while his mind was no longer in his body, that this was still, everyone was still under the control of the Gias. Maybe it was because he wasn't actually dead, but I'm like, if he somehow dies, which I don't know if he can die anymore. I think he's immortal now, along with C2. And as long as they have access to the C2 universe, which we're not really, they didn't really answer that at the end, then I don't know that he could die. So anyone that he puts under the control of his Gias, which, you know, if he doesn't release them, I suppose, will always stay under control of his Gias. So that's a real testament to how powerful Lelouch is as a character. I guess that would be another thing, is like, how do you come up with a villain to go up against that? I mean, he's really strong character, and yeah, I don't know. So a lot to go unanswered going into season 3 still. Okay, welcome back, time stampers. So I just talked about a few things, but for the most part, again, I really enjoyed this movie. I personally rated it a 7 out of 10 on my anime list, and I believe that's around the average. I rated original Code Geass shows, I believe, an 8 out of 10, so a little bit higher, because I felt the shows were more impactful. This movie was still good in a sense that it lined up with the events that happened in seasons 1 and 2, but it wasn't super, like, memorable. There wasn't, like, any, like, jaw-dropping moments, you know? It was just more, like, nostalgia to have all your favorite characters back and to be like, yes, the show is continuing. Like, it wasn't like, oh my god, that happened? What the you know what I mean? It just, there wasn't any moments that really, like, major twists. There wasn't really anything like that, so or at least I didn't think so. Still give it a watch, especially if you've seen Code Geass. And thanks so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe to my channel to support my content. Please comment below if you've seen the movie, your thoughts on it, or as well as anything you'd like to comment. I also take requests for anime you would like me to review, so let me know. Yeah, and then I'll just the rest of my socials plugged down there as well. I try to post on Twitter when I am posting stuff, so you can follow me on there as well. And I also have a Twitch account. I am trying to stream Having some difficulties doing that though, so stay tuned. If you want updates on that, I would follow my Twitter. Otherwise, I will continue to post videos up here. I'm going to try to get more of a consistent schedule going, so yeah. So again, thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.